Welcome to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock, and I'll tell you why the people talking about boycotting the NFL over Colin Kaepernick are way out of line.
And I'm Colin Cowherd, and I'll tell you why Floyd Mayweather is getting more desperate by the hour. Speak for yourself starts right now on a Thursday.
Hey, can't wait for August 26th to get here so he can get that over with.
Get paid.
Check. All right, hello and welcome. We're joined today by Super Bowl champ Eric Davis and the founder of the Big League, Jason McIntyre. Let's start with Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor. The Nevada State Athletic Commission has agreed to entertain a request from both camps that the fighters be allowed to use 8-ounce gloves instead of the 10-ounce gloves normally required in their weight class. Conor has long complained about the size of the boxing gloves, which are much larger than those in MMA. And apparently Floyd caved. Cowherd, are you surprised Floyd would agree to this?
No, because he's desperate because the fight's not selling. And this is why in the last 2 days he said, I'm old and beatable. I'm going to now make it a barroom brawl in the middle of the ring, and I'm going to shrink gloves. Here's a guy, for his entire career, was my way or the highway. No flexibility. I won't fight Pacquiao unless there's a blood test. Now in a week. You know why? Because he's got a cut of this purse, and it isn't selling on pay-per-view. And I know this for a fact. They're not selling tickets at all.
Look, I'm from the Midwest. I don't think fight fans, casual fans, anybody in middle America, oh, they're going to 8-ounce gloves. This is more interesting. I don't know if this is working. If that's Floyd's plan, I don't think most people know or care. Look, I think the reason the fight's not selling in the arena is because the tickets are overpriced.
Yes.
Everybody knows this fight is a sham and a scam. They're planning parties in their home. It's a nice little circus act you can watch from home.
Then why
but
would you
paying
do
$4,000
this?
and $5,000 to watch in person, no dice.
There has to be a reason.
To give you something else to talk about, yesterday I was asked something about the fight. Do I think that people are starting to lose interest in it? And I was like, oh, I had forgotten that the fight was going on. They came out the box and you had all the press conferences and it was a lot of hype. And it was like, okay. And then that stopped and I forgot about the fight. So Floyd is doing this. Look, we're talking about it. They're trying to drum up more interest. They're trying to get the purse up, get people to show up for it. But it's just another act. Look, you just said no one thinks that it really makes a difference.
But doesn't it land? Your initial thing is smaller gloves, McGregor.
No one's thinking that deep on it.
I think they are.
No,
He's got a chance.
You are. No one else. Listen, seriously.
You know
this is a different type of event. No one's going to see the fight, actually. It's the circus.
You know what,
It's
though?
the party at home. People are thinking about, oh, the fight night party I'm going to have. My boy's going to be over. We're going to kick it that night. That's what they're thinking about. The fight is really an ancillary thing that we'll watch. That's like the payoff for the sideshow.
But you keep saying circus. There is a circus element to it, right? We've never seen an MMA fighter against a boxer. And, guys, I keep coming back to it. I think the trash talk has gotten to Mayweather. He's trash talked everybody throughout his career, and here he is on the eve of the fight. Oh, yeah, I'll do the gloves. You know, I've got to prove to my critics that I am tough. I can knock somebody out. He hasn't knocked anybody out since 2011. And McGregor, all he's been doing is drilling this guy. I will kill you. I will beat you.
Let me tell you how this lands, though. Let me tell you how this lands. It would be like if we put out a press release, Jason Whitlock has lost 2 ounces. No one cares. I'm just telling you, this change in gloves, I just don't think it resonates with people. Fight people, yes.
No,
but you got to be
hardcore. Like
hardcore.
Colin just said, it's one of those things that make you think, well, even at the party, I got my boys all over. Well, maybe he has a chance to land the shot with this smaller glove, and if nothing else, the fight goes a little longer.
And I heard you on your radio show talk about this, and you know, you made some great points. But again, Colin, this is a guy who's known as a defensive, boring fighter. Boring that Pacquiao fight was unwatchable, right? McGregor now wants to, hey, let's turn it up a notch. Let's fight my style. What if the next thing is, hey, Floyd, you want to go barefoot in the ring? Maybe he'll fall for that one.
But smaller gloves, people don't have to be a boxing expert. Smaller gloves means, oh, it hurts more. And the perception is McGregor can't win the fight. But if he landed a punch with a smaller glove, it's closer to a fist.
Okay, let me explain this to you in a way you would understand.
Okay,
has the line moved in Vegas? The smaller gloves, we got to reduce the line.
No, because
it hasn't.
Because smart money moves the fight line, and the smart money's all in on Mayweather.
Look, I will buy what you're talking about, and there is a chance that Floyd is trying to drum up interest. And so when he comes out with the announcement, I hurt my left shoulder. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to use my left hand. When he starts talking about an injury in camp and I'm going into this fight beaten up, then that's a selling point. 2 ounces off the glove, that's over most people's heads.
Well, a lot of stuff's over my head, but I still believe it.
Hey, it's Jason McIntyre, and before we move into the next topic, I want to take some time to tell you about ZipRecruiter. I started thebiglead.com, and I know firsthand how much of a challenge it is to put the right team together. You got to hire the right people. You cannot find the best candidates by posting your job just to one website. You need to post it to all the sites. At ZipRecruiter.com, you can post to over 100 job sites with just one click. In fact, over 80% of jobs posted on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in less than 24 hours. No juggling emails or calls to your office. Simply screen, rate, and manage candidates all in one place with ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use dashboard. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by businesses of all sizes nationwide. And right now, our listeners can start forming their own winning team on ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/speak. That's ZipRecruiter.com/speak. Try it for free today at ZipRecruiter.com/speak. And you can start building your perfect team right away. Now let's get back to the show.
All right, welcome back. Eric Davis is back, and we're joined now by Super Bowl champ Mark Schlereth. Let's move to Colin Kaepernick. There appears to be growing sentiment in social media among black celebrities and websites that black people need to step up protests against the NFL until Kaepernick is signed. Spike Lee is supporting an August 23rd rally at NFL headquarters. Comedian D.L. Hughley says he's personally boycotting the league, and a Change.org petition calling for a wider boycott already has over 150,000 signatures. I think this would be a huge mistake. I don't get this. Football is an industry that is, the NFL, college football, dominated by African Americans. 70% of the NFL, African American, making millions of dollars. Why are we trying to go to war with the one industry that is working for us? That's not saying the NFL is flawless, because it's not. But it's an industry that's working for us. Hollywood, an industry that's not working for us. Go boycott that. Tear it down. 70% of the acting workforce isn't African American. Go protest Facebook or Google. The NFL, because of Colin Kaepernick? I'm going to give you a Hollywood analogy that you may like, Cowherd. Kirk Cameron was the star of Growing Pains,
Yes.
Matt Seaver. He got blackballed by Hollywood. Did you protest? Did white people come out and say, oh, my God, Kirk Cameron's been blackballed, we got to protest Hollywood? No, because Hollywood's very good for white people, and they're not going to burn Hollywood down over Kirk Cameron.
Well, I would say this. I'm okay with boycotting, but I can boycott your boycott. And if you're an actor and you boycott the NFL, then I'll boycott your crappy movie. And so I am for protests and boycotting, and I have a right to protest your products and consume your products. And, you know, Scott Baio boycotted Nordstrom's. They're still selling very expensive shoes. And so I'm for boycotts. I'm for protests. I think it's part of our tapestry. It's really important. But this is my libertarian side, let the market play out. And if a comedian says I'm boycotting, then you know what? There'll be people who love the NFL that say I'm not going to go to that funny guy's show. So I'm not uncomfortable with this discomfort in boycotts. There was a petition when I first started at my other place 12 years ago. I replaced Tony Kornheiser. And for like a year, got up to like 20,000 signatures.
I was a part of that boycott.
Yeah. But you know what? In the end, people in the company I worked for at the time were like, man, that's a lot of attention. It actually helped me. They were like, wow, he's polarized.
You know what's interesting to me is, and you said it in your little piece there, you don't even know what you're looking at. Like the majority of people that are boycotting Colin Kaepernick really don't understand the NFL. They don't know what they're looking at. D.L. Hughley said until he gets a fair opportunity. How do you know he hasn't gotten an opportunity? How do you know he hasn't gotten an offer from Seattle? And he said, you know what? I want to be a starter. I don't accept that offer. I don't want to play for minimum wage. I think I deserve starter money. I don't know what the opportunity is. This show is called Speak for Yourself. I haven't heard Colin Kaepernick say one thing about what he wants, how he wants it. Does he want an opportunity to start? Does he want to be opportunity? Does he just want an opportunity to be a backup? I have no idea. So I don't know what's fair. And I'll tell you what, when 150,000 people that buy season tickets start boycotting the NFL, then we'll have something to talk about. When D.L. Hughley, who doesn't have season tickets, I'm assuming, who doesn't care about the National Football League, says I'm going to boycott it, nobody really gives a rip that works for the National Football League. How's it going to affect us?
I don't know if DL has
I don't either.
or not, but he may. And do I think that he has the right to boycott? And I get what you're talking about as far as the industry and the number of blacks that it employs. But just because something employs something, does that mean that you can't speak out on something that you think is a flaw? I think that's a part of our rights as Americans. Just like PETA had an opportunity to boycott and the right to boycott when Michael Vick got back into the league.
Right.
Okay? Do I think it's going to stop the league? No. Do I have a problem with people saying that they're going to boycott because they see a flaw? No. That's what we're supposed to be able to do as Americans.
Eric, my point, though, is flaw in the NFL. Let me say I'll give you that, even though I don't think Kaepernick's the flaw, but I'll give it to him. Again, you're burning down the industry that has treated black men the best.
No, but
Hold
on. But do you think that's what I'm saying? You and I do. That's what we disagree on. You're not going to burn down the industry. You're speaking out and you're bringing light to what you think is a flaw. That's what I think the protest is about, as opposed to trying to burn down the industry. You're not going to kill the monster.
Boycott Facebook. It's a bigger monster than the NFL, and a black man can only get jobs there basically sweeping floors. Go protest that. I would be into that. Google, Facebook, places where black men can't get employed.
Both know.
I would be in full support of that.
But you and I both know you won't get that support because that's not out there in everyone's face. That's the reason this is getting support, is because it's in everyone's face. It's a part of popular culture. People are paying attention to it. What's happening in corporate America behind the closed doors you don't see. And we know that it's a microwave society.
Well, we don't always have to do the ineffective, foolish thing. Sometimes we can correctly direct our animus or discomfort or express.
Agreed.
We can go at the right targets.
If I was going to be protested, I would rather be protested by actors because they don't speak to the public. We don't vote. If we listened to actors, Trump would have had 9 votes.
Good point.
I mean, the last person I ever believe in is a guy who was a pirate 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but you know what? This is the thing right now when we talk about what's happening on the internet and constantly this entire offseason we've been talking about Cap and the support he's getting on the internet. Remember, you have a president right now, every single thing that he feels in the highest office in this land, everything that he feels or thinks, he tweets, okay? That's the world now.
Okay, and so what you just described is we're following Trump's lead. Another mistake. Welcome back. Mark Schlereth, Eric Davis are back. Let's move to Charlotte, North Carolina, where Deshaun Watson looked great in his first NFL action last night against the Carolina Panthers. Watson has impressed a lot of people in camp so far, with Houston coach Bill O'Brien saying he's, quote, way ahead of any rookie quarterback I've ever coached. Colin, are you convinced Watson will succeed in the NFL after that game?
Well, I'm convinced he's not terrified. Jared Goff looked terrified. I will say this about the NFL, and you can see it instantly. Some people just feel really comfortable in the room. And I still don't think Dak Prescott has the best arm, the best feet, the biggest guy. Boy, he looks comfortable. And I've watched a lot of football, and you can watch Joey Harrington's first game, and you're like, he doesn't feel comfortable. Listen, I was talking to an NFL scout last week at USC practice, and he said, man, quarterback's hard, and a lot of guys, they're talented, but they just don't like being in an NFL pocket. Like, I'm watching Deshaun, and he's just completely comfortable. Even when he failed, you're like, oh, that looks right. By the way, he's 6'2", 215. That's undersized by NFL standards. I never thought he looked small. Not one snap.
I think you're right in terms of he looked good in the pocket. There's no question about it. The only thing that I didn't see last night, and I didn't watch close, was he threw to a lot of wide open receivers.
Yes.
Quarterbacks in this league have to throw people open from time to time. You know, maybe 20% of the time of your completed passes. I didn't see any of that. I don't know if we saw it from Dak Prescott early either. But the things you're talking about are things that I saw in Carson Wentz early in the regular season.
Yes.
but I also saw Carson Wentz throw some people open. Again, I'm high on Deshaun Watson. I think he's their quarterback. I think he's going to be successful, but I want to see some more information.
I loved him. I mean, I loved him coming out. I look back to that national championship game where he was rattled early in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, he got the snot beat out of him. And he came back, played with great toughness, great awareness, played more of a pro-style offense than most people do in the college game. What I saw last night is a guy that dropped back, went through his progressions, threw it to the open receiver, threw it accurately on time to the open receiver, and only after he went through his progressions and things weren't open did he slide and then he move.
Yeah.
You know, he played it from the neck up. He didn't play it from the neck down. A lot of guys look at the first guy, he's not open, they take off. That's not what he did last night. So there's obviously some room for improvement. There were some balls that, you know, placement-wise were a little bit behind receivers, but I also saw him sit a guy down in zone. He understood the difference between zone and man and sit him down so he didn't run into coverage. He did some nice things last night.
He did do some nice things, and I'm definitely rooting for him. It's early. I'm with you on this one, Whit. It's just far too early to say he's the guy. And even listening to Bill O'Brien. I mean, Bill O'Brien tried to convince me that Ryan Mallett was this guy, and then he flipped his mind and said it was Hoyer, and then he went back to Mallett. So it's early. So right now, and I saw some good things, and even when you talk about the reads, they were moving the pocket, and they were running level routes, so everything was on one side of the field. They were making it simple for him, and what you want to see is, can a guy get that done? First preseason game, I can't tell you if you're a player. I can tell you if you can't play. Okay.
Yes.
And what he went out there and showed us that, okay, what you showed me, I'm learning. I can fix the open receivers that I'm missing, things like that. But he said he showed he could run an offense.
With those legs, this is what Russell Wilson did. As Russell was figuring out the NFL pocket for 2 years, he avoided a lot of mayhem with those legs. There were a couple plays last night you just can't teach.
Yeah.
He just keeps his head downfield. He's moving around. He's like a lot of that stuff is it's really talent.
And that half-field read you're talking about, 1, 2, high, low, 3, dump over the ball. He knew exactly where he was going.
I like him. All right, Eric Davis is back, and we're now joined by Fox NFL and college football rules analyst Dean Blandino. Let's return to the National Football League.
The league has long been interested in expanding the regular season to 18 games, but backed off in recent years after resistance from the players' union. Now Roger Goodell is criticizing the quality of play in the preseason, which some see as a sign the league might force the issue in the next CBA negotiations. Cowherd, should the NFL expand to 18 games?
No, I don't like this, and they should eliminate the preseason. Listen, we've seen this with the NFL and domestic violence, a little bit of a blind spot. I think this is a little bit of a blind spot. The TV revenue is enormous. It's the #1 show on 5 networks. Listen, we all know the optics of preseason are bad. Players get hurt, not a lot of upside, stadiums are empty. If you keep telling me safety's the key, then you got to keep from also expanding simultaneously. Like, this to me feels like a blind spot.
No, not to me at all. Hold on for a second, Dean. There's a way to expand. I would go to 20 games.
Oh, why?
I would go to 20 games and limit the players to participation in 16. We see it in all other sports. LeBron sits out games. Baseball, the pitchers pitch every 4 days. They don't play every game. I would play 20, limit the players to 16. Everybody makes more money. TV networks got better product. You haven't changed the safety issue at all. There is a way to play more games without requiring the players
So Aaron
to play more
Rodgers
games.
takes a month off every year?
No, he takes,
It's tough,
games.
it's tough to compare to basketball or baseball when they're playing 162 games. Every game in the NFL counts so much. I think the issue, though, is really when you talk about player safety, it's a tough sell. We just changed the rule at overtime, right? We went from 15 to 10 minutes because we're worried about the number of snaps that players are playing, and now we're going to say, well, guess what? You're going to play an additional 2 more games at the end of the year.
You can't tell me that.
You're playing both sides of the fence there.
No, I'm looking at you guys realize you already play an 18-game season, 19-game season, okay? The 49ers had a stretch in 14 years where 10 times they had to play 18 games. Because if you want to win a Super Bowl, okay, you got to do it. The New England Patriots, 10 times in the last 15 years, they've had to play 18 games. The Pittsburgh Steelers did it. Hold on, listen. The Pittsburgh Steelers, the Buffalo Bills, 4 years in a row. Okay, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Cowboys had a 5-year stretch. And in between, the teams are still winning double-digit games, okay? You already have it. There's already a model out there. So, yes, you can expand to 18 games. You just throw in an extra bye week, just like you would have when you have to go into the playoffs like that. It's already there.
Yeah, but don't sell me optically when we go into a courtroom that you deeply care about safety when you keep stretching.
Hold on.
and
Wait, hold
stretching.
on. But look, teams already do it. Look at the New England Patriots. They have gone to the last 5 AFC championships.
Yeah, but you'll be adding now two more.
But hold on. That's 18 games. So you can play it, and guys can stay healthy. Brady didn't have to sit out either.
He sat out for
He
last
sat out
year, but
because he had to.
you make
the
a
other
valid
ones
point.
he played.
It can happen.
It can
No
happen.
question.
It's already happening.
I'll tell you what, though, it's not going to happen unless something happens with the preseason.
Yeah,
they
you
go
take
hand in hand.
Take 2 away from preseason.
Because the Players Association isn't gonna just say, hey, we're gonna take 2 more games and add them to the end of the schedule, and the owners aren't gonna say we're gonna eliminate 2 preseason games without getting something
But
back.
look at it from a collective bargaining agreement now, and for players, and you talk about the guaranteed money and all the things that you're after.
Got a
You
negotiating
have a negotiating tool, the extra games, you take away from the preseason. It's more television revenue for owners. Instead of 2 home games and 2 away games in the preseason, you make it a 1-and-1. It's there. And as far as the health aspect of it, as I said, it's already documented that you can survive this. You can look at teams in the history of the game that have already played 18 continuously. Okay, my first 6-7 years in the league, I played 18 games, 2 of those, all but 2 of those. Okay, I survived.
Some players and teams are already doing it. Maybe it's unfair. The Patriots do it consistently.
Yes.
Maybe it's unfair to
If
them.
you eliminated the preseason
Yeah.
right before it, the preseason's garbage. The optics are bad. The stadiums are empty. By the way, the preseason for all of us is this.
But it's a
But the
necessary
coaches, when you talk to
evil.
the football people and the coaches, they don't want to give up the preseason.
Well,
if I can have those snaps to evaluate my roster and it doesn't count,
It's a necessary
when we're
evil.
already limiting practice
please.
time.
Okay,
and
I'll
pad
tell you
time,
this. Terrell Davis just went into the Hall of Fame. He would not have made the team if he had not had an opportunity to perform in a preseason game. He was at the bottom of that roster, and that's what I'm saying. One of the greatest players in the history, preseason, an opportunity against another uniform gave him an opportunity to make a team. So that's what I'm saying. It's a
You
necessary
had a nice
evil.
segment. Let's move.
You just killed this. And what we just saw on TV was Colin flip. He started out against an 18-game schedule. Now he's like, I'll think about it.
Welcome back. Mark Schlereth, Eric Davis are here. Let's move to college football, one of my favorites, where UCLA quarterback Josh Rosen's been criticized this week for saying football and school, they don't go together. Now his own coach, Jim Morris, says he's not surprised by the backlash.
It's okay to have opinions. And as a 20-year-old, you're going to have opinions now that maybe you don't have when you're 22, 23, 30, 50, 60. But when you express these opinions, you create perceptions. You create controversy. There are those that will agree with you and those that won't agree with you. And you have to be willing to live with the consequences.
All right, Whitlock, Rosen is considered a top NFL prospect. Are you concerned his strong opinions could scare off a team or two?
I'm a little bit concerned, but I think when people go do the research on Josh Rosen, they're going to be surprised at what they find. Again, his parents have money. They're not super wealthy, but they have money. But Josh Rosen grew up playing in Snoop's football league. That's his background. His commitment to social justice issues goes all the way back to his high school days. He's not someone that was, and again, he's a kid, he likes to party, have a good time, but his commitment is authentic and it tracks through the years of what he's interested in. Do I think some NFL teams will be like, I'd rather have a quarterback who's totally just a football junkie? Yes.
I do too.
I do think this will be a bit of a red flag, but I'm going to defend Josh Rosen just because I know how authentic his point of view is.
I think he's really important. When people said Michael Sam's a distraction, you're anti-gay. When you said Tebow was a distraction, you're anti-Christian. When you say Cap is a distraction, you're anti-black cause. I think Josh Rosen's a distraction. Am I anti-rich white dude? Sometimes the distraction's the distraction. Everybody that claims a football player's a distraction, the first thing the media does is think you're anti-cause. When you're just anti-distraction, I don't want listen, Rosen's a distraction. I listened to the Jim Moore interview. He sounded pissed. He didn't want to be talking about it. He's got Texas A&M in 3 weeks. And I really felt, I think Tebow was a distraction. I think Kaepernick as a backup is a distraction. I think Rosen is a distraction to certain teams. Just because you think a player is a distraction, why do we always go to doubting the cause?
Right.
Sometimes the distraction just is a distraction.
Okay. Now, if Tebow, you say Tebow was a distraction.
I would never have brought him
Well,
up.
it's because he wasn't a starter and he wasn't capable of playing at a higher level. Cap is a distraction because you just said it. He's a backup. He's not a starter.
Newsworthy.
So he's not playing at a high level. All of that dissipates if that quarterback can play at a high level. NFL, they don't care. They don't care if you can play. Josh Rosen, this is not going to bother him. If you look, the only thing he has to concern himself with, if I'm a team that needs a quarterback, who else is coming out in the draft that can quarterback, and who else is coming out in the following year? How many years do I want to lose before I get a quarterback if I think this guy can help?
Okay, now this is a great point. You're right.
He's got to be really good.
If he's really good.
Okay, but the problem is, this is the strangest of years because there's 3 kids that are all perceived to be #1 talents at quarterback.
Okay, and guess what? If I think he's the #1 talent at quarterback, guess what? There will be more than 3 teams that need a quarterback. So, case in point, he's getting a job.
There's 10 of them that can play in the league. Honestly, there's 10 of them that can really play in the league. So there's a bunch of teams
Coming up in this year's draft.
No, 10 guys that can really play quarterback in the league.
Period.
Right
At
now.
all times.
Okay,
Yes.
right now. So there's 22 teams that are really looking for a new quarterback. There's a sliding scale of justice in the National Football League. If you can play, we'll put up with a lot of crap. If you can't play, we're not going to put up with very much of it. And that's what it comes down to. Hey, was Ray Rice, does he not have a job in this league because of the domestic violence that we saw on television? Joe Mixon has a job. He did the same thing, right? It's about your talent level. Greg Hardy, come on, that dude's a criminal. But you know what? If he can rush the passer, he's going to have a job. There's a sliding scale of justice. And if your talent outweighs whatever distraction or whatever issue you might have, you get to work. So there's 3 quarterbacks in the league. 3 quarterbacks coming up in the draft that happen to be really good. Okay, so he's not #1 overall, but he's number 6. Like,
thank you. That's what I'm
bottom
saying.
line is he's going in the first round, so
Yes.
nobody really cares. So he can say whatever he wants.